In 1386, a pig was formally tried for killing a child. It was found guilty. The pig was dressed in human clothing, paraded through town, maimed, and hanged in front of thousands of spectators. In 1903, an elephant named Topsy was electrocuted in front of 1,500 people at Coney Island, her death recorded on film. In 1916, an elephant named Mary was hanged from a railroad crane in front of 2,500 people, including hundreds of children, in Irwin, Tennessee. These are not stories from fiction. These are documented historical events. They raise a question. At what point did we decide that animals could not be guilty of crimes? And what does it mean that we once believed they could? Between the 13th and 18th centuries, something extraordinary happened in medieval Europe. Animals were put on trial. Not as metaphor, not as allegory, as literal legal proceedings in courts of law. Pigs, donkeys, cows, bulls, horses. They were charged with crimes. They were assigned lawyers to defend them. Witnesses testified against them, and they were convicted. The earliest documented case dates to 1226. A pig was burned alive in Fontenay-aux-Roses for devouring an infant. This case set a precedent. Over the next 500 years, there would be hundreds, possibly thousands, of documented animal trials across France, Switzerland, Germany, Italy, and beyond. In 1386 in Falaise, France, a pig that had killed a child was formally tried. The verdict? Guilty. The punishment was extraordinary. The pig was dressed in human clothing, a waistcoat, gloves, drawers. A human mask was placed on its head. It was paraded through town to the gallows. It was maimed with knives, and it was hanged. All of this was performed with the utmost seriousness. This was justice, or at least that is what medieval society believed. In 1457, a sow and her 6 piglets were tried together for infanticide. The mother was convicted. The piglets were acquitted. They were too young to be held responsible. In 1474, a rooster in Basel, Switzerland, was condemned not for killing, but for the heinous and unnatural crime of laying an egg. The rooster was burned at the stake. These were real proceedings, documented, witnessed, believed to be just. To understand medieval animal trials, you must understand medieval cosmology. Medieval Europe was deeply religious. The world was understood as a divine creation, ordered by God. Humans were at the top of that order. Animals were below. When an animal killed a human, it violated that divine order. Some believed animals that killed were possessed by demons, that the devil had entered the beast. Others believed animals could exercise free will and moral choice, and therefore could be held morally responsible for their actions. But perhaps the deepest reason was psychological. When a community suffered a tragedy, a child killed by a pig, for example, there was an overwhelming need for justice, for revenge, for someone to be held accountable. The legal system provided a mechanism for that need. The animal became a scapegoat, but scapegoating served a purpose. It allowed the community to restore order, to punish wrongdoing, to satisfy the psychological need for justice, even if that justice was misdirected. Looking back, medieval animal trials seem absurd, but they reveal something important about how humans think. We need justice. We need retribution. And when the true cause is beyond our reach, the God we believe in, the randomness of fate, we reach for something tangible, an animal, a defendant, someone to blame.
Fast forward to 1903.
America, Coney Island, the age of electricity, a new technological marvel. Luna Park was being built, a spectacular amusement park featuring the newest attractions. The crown jewel was Topsy, an Asian elephant, advertised as the largest living land animal on Earth. Topsy had spent 25 years in circuses, performing tricks, trained with violence and coercion. She had killed people. She had a reputation as bad. The owners of Luna Park, Frederick Thompson and Elmer Dundee, could not give her away. No other circus wanted her. She was a liability. So they made a decision. They would kill her. But not just kill her, they would make a spectacle of it. This is where we see something familiar to the medieval trials. The public execution as entertainment, the animal as object lesson. But now it was filmed, recorded, commercial product. On January 4th, 1903, approximately 1,500 spectators gathered at Luna Park. Topsy was fed carrots laced with potassium cyanide. Copper sandals were fastened to her feet. 6,600 volts of electricity were sent through her body. She convulsed. Smoke erupted from the electrodes. She collapsed, dead. And a film crew from the Edison Manufacturing Company recorded the entire event. This film was released to the public. People watched Topsy's death in arcades. Death as entertainment, justice as spectacle, progress, or the medieval tradition dressed in modern clothes.
13 years later.
September 1916, Irwin, Tennessee. The Sparks world-famous show's circus rolled into nearby Kingsport. The star attraction, Mary, a 5-ton Asian elephant billed as Mighty Mary. Mary had spent her life in chains, trained with bull hooks, metal spikes that pierced the sensitive skin behind an elephant's ear. The circus hired a new elephant keeper, Walter Eldridge, a hotel bellhop, no experience with animals. He lasted less than 48 hours. The next day, Eldridge was riding on Mary's back during a parade. He struck her behind the ear with a large metal hook, the exact spot where a veterinarian would later discover Mary had a severely infected tooth. Sudden, searing pain. Mary reacted. She flung Eldridge to the ground and stomped on his head. He died. After this, Mary was calm. She did not rampage. She had reacted to pain, then returned to her normal state. But the community demanded her death. A crowd chanted, "Kill the elephant!" The circus owner, Charlie Sparks, faced economic ruin. Other towns refused entry while Mary lived. Mary was transported by rail to Irwin, Tennessee, which had a 100-ton industrial derrick powerful enough to hang an elephant. On September 13th, 1916, over 2,500 people gathered in the rail yard, including most of the town's children. The 4 other circus elephants that had traveled with Mary for years walked trunk to tail behind her, following their companion to her death. A chain was fitted around Mary's neck. The derrick lifted. Then, the chain snapped. Mary fell, crashing to the ground, breaking her hip. Children scattered in terror. A second chain was fastened. The derrick lifted again. This time it held. Mary thrashed. She shrieked. She fought for air as the chain tightened. She was slowly asphyxiated in front of 2,500 people. After 30 minutes, she went limp. Buried in a shallow grave beside the railroad tracks, intentionally unmarked. And the final, tragic detail, the infected tooth, found by the veterinarian after her death in the exact location where Eldridge struck her. Mary was defending herself from pain, and she was executed for that defense. After Mary's execution, something shifted. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals issued statements condemning the practice. Newspapers published editorials questioning the morality of public executions, not just of animals, but as spectacle. A slow transformation in human consciousness began. It took decades, but it happened. By the late 20th century, the thought of executing an animal as entertainment was unthinkable. When a space program sent a dog named Laika into orbit, knowing she would not survive re-entry in 1957, the world mourned. When a trophy hunter killed Cecil the lion in 2015, millions of people protested. The moral evolution is visible. From 1916, when 2,500 people gathered to celebrate an elephant's death, to 2015, when millions mourned a lion's. We changed. We became more compassionate. We learned that animals are not guilty of crimes. They are not moral agents. They are beings capable of suffering, and that suffering matters. The town of Irwin, Tennessee, spent a century ashamed of its history, but recently it has sought redemption. The town has partnered with the Elephant Sanctuary. Young people have created podcasts about Mary's story, winning national awards. The town is transforming a legacy of cruelty into one of compassion. This is progress. Topsy and Mary were not criminals. They were victims. Victims of exploitation, victims of chains, of abuse, of coercion. Topsy killed because she was tortured by circus life. Mary defended herself from pain, from an infected tooth, and was executed for that defense. When medieval courts tried pigs for infanticide, they were projecting human morality onto non-human creatures. When we executed Topsy and Mary in public spectacles, we were continuing that same mistake, just dressed in modern clothes. But we learned. We evolved. We now understand that animals are not guilty. They are not moral agents. They cannot stand trial. But we can. We are the ones responsible for our actions toward them. So here is what these histories ask us. If we have progressed this far, what else are we still wrong about? What other practices do we justify as entertainment that future generations will view with the same horror we now view medieval animal trials? These are the questions that Topsy and Mary, in their suffering and death, ask us to consider. They were not executed for crimes. They were executed for being exploited by humans. And we should remember them, not in shame, but in the commitment that we will do better. If you found this history meaningful, if it changed how you think about animals, about justice, about compassion, subscribe to Animal Wars. And join us in exploring more stories where human and animal histories intersect. Thank you for witnessing these stories. Thank you for caring.